All right, we are live. As you could tell, I am a couple minutes late. That's because I just had probably the most stressful conversation I have had in, let's see, a long time. Um, Basically, I got an email telling me that I'm going to have to pay back my CERB because I didn't qualify for some reason. What? What? That's like so many thousands of dollars out of my pocket. So I was just like, I don't know, just like exploding. And then I had to go and talk to my mom. And then I've been trying to call my dad for like whatever amount of time because he had some documents or whatever. And then I guarantee you he's probably going to call during this as well. Super stressed. But that didn't mean that I had to not come here today. I have to like come out here and share what is going on. That is the point of these. This is my wrap up of my day, I guess. A big shout out to my sister, Maggie, if you are out there. Hi, thanks for watching and staying up and hanging out with me. It is like just crazy. I feel like I was on the fence actually at first. I was like, should I even do this? I'm so stressed out. Like, what if I just like freak out on camera? And I was like, you know what? That's actually entertaining. So that's what I'm willing to give to you guys. That's part of it. So the whole idea of today though was basically building towards something. It was I spent the whole day just practicing for the poetry slam that was coming. So the entire day I just like was writing. I was like rewriting. I was like editing. I was working on stuff, and it felt like a kind of a metaphor for the rest of the year. You know, it's just like building and working towards something like. And then there was like a payoff at the end. And being able to be part of this poetry slam, I actually got asked to do it. And like, it meant so much to me to be reached out to, being like, hey, like you should definitely sign up for this. This would be a great opportunity to like hang out and possibly win $1,000. Big shout out to Cassandra Myers, who actually did take it down. It was such an awesome event. Hi, Annie. Thanks for coming out to this too. Annie was already there watching the slam, and then saw me do my poem, and then ended up getting probably, I think I got the lowest score because I had a time penalty as well, you know, but it didn't really matter. I was really happy with how I performed it, how I was able to share it. Maybe I'll share it a little bit later tonight. I've already ran it so many times too. So just being able to, make sure that you guys also get the experience of seeing it. I think I did it earlier in the week, but we trimmed it down and actually it was way, way, way shorter now. So just being able to build on that, work on that, that's something that was really important, you know? So, thank you. Yes, I felt great. Honestly, when I was performing, I really felt good about it. It was been a while since I hit a slam up, and to be able to like bring my best foot forward and just being able to actually feel the things that I was sharing, that meant everything to me. Like that's what I want when I'm slamming. But I am going to share the other poems that I didn't get to perform tonight, even though you probably heard them yesterday. I really don't care. I gotta get them out of my system because I was so ready to share them, and we did some modifications on them as well. So I really appreciate all the support that's went on with the slam and stuff. But I also feel like I'm really grateful for like the support that I got from Silva as well too. Like we practiced all day. We went through all of like the poems like top to bottom and just like really dug deep, it felt like, and was able to come out. And I feel like I'm a better artist for that, you know, to just be able to lean on my group of friends and just being able to like continue to support each other and build and just be better. You know, that's like the most important thing, like being growth minded, like not just in our art, but that influences like our mental health and stuff as well too. So so even right now I need to take a moment, honestly. Like I feel like I went through some like really intense stuff. um just for those who are just joining me right now, I was telling everybody the reason why I was a couple minutes late was because I found out that I might not be actually eligible for CERB and have to like pay back some of it. So I was like so stressed out for like 15 minutes right before I came on. But I have to commit to the 11:30. So I'm going to give myself like 10 seconds to just like, okay, it's a lot. I gotta shake this. I gotta shake it off. I gotta imagine that I have to pay back like 14K. That would like that would be so awful. So yeah, I have to like really figure it out. I did find income that I didn't end up claiming. So if it all works out, I think it should be totally fine. But that's what made me feel a lot better. But yeah, right now I was just like so stressed out. But it also made me for a second think about what I was doing in 2019. And a big shout out to I was working with Pam as well as Malcolm. I was taking care of a boy. And just hanging out with their family, and it was amazing. And that was like the income that I didn't end up claiming. And but I look outside right now and I see the car, my PT Cruiser, and I would love to just share the story of that. Like, it was so amazing. I was working with this family for probably 2 years, always so supportive. Like, even in my button business, they were always buying buttons and like introduced me to lots of people at their work. Like, I started doing like one-on-one support for someone who was having like troubles like expressing themselves and like doing presentations and things like that. I was like helping them out. Like, so she was always super helpful, just like such a loving lady. And I just felt like I was a part of the family in a lot of ways. And I would see him twice a week. I'd pick him up from school and then just like hang out with him for a couple hours. We play Fortnite. I taught him how to skateboard. I remember the first time that he ollied. Oh my God. When Malcolm ollied, I was like on the verge of tears. I was more proud than his mom. I was just like, it came off the ground. And like, I'm like, you slid your foot. Like, it got, oh my God, that was amazing. And we were like, like so excited. And then I like ran in to like go get his mom, and she came out and like took a picture of us like smiling. And it was just such a special moment. And like, it meant so much to me to be like welcomed and accepted into that family. And then right after that, like, I was doing so many events. I was doing weddings. I was doing all of this button stuff. And then she ended up like telling me, oh, I'm trying to like sell my car if you know anybody who's selling, who wants to buy a car. And I had just been doing so many events and just like getting so overwhelmed with like taking Uber after Uber and then like having to pay like 30-40 bucks each way. It was just adding up so much. And I was like, man, I got to buy a car. So it was like perfect. I was like, yes, I'll buy this car for sure. That sounds amazing. And then she was like, oh, I'm trying to get like $4,000 for this. And I was like, damn, like that was like outside of my, like what the amount that I was wanting to spend. I was thinking probably around like 2,500 or, that amount. And then she's like, but I didn't even say that to her. And then she came back to me and was like, hey, I can give it to you for like 2,000 or something like that. I was like, what? Yeah, like I'll go take out the money right now. So then I went to the bank, like I was on my way to the bank, and I called her and I was like, did you want me to just like write a check, or what did you want me to do to get this money to you? And she's like, don't worry, just work it off. And I was like, that is the greatest. Like, it was so kind. Like, she didn't end up paying me out of pocket at this point. She just ended up I just worked it off. So then I was able to like purchase the car just by hours spent with her son, and at that point it was even better because it didn't feel like I was working for money with them. It just felt like I was just like part of the family, hanging out, that kind of stuff. So it always meant so much to me to be able to have that as like such a wonderful experience with them and just love. And but the PT Cruiser is so funny because people always make comments about it. And one of the little boys, he was like probably 10 years old at the time. He was like, this looks like a mini hearse. That's what he said. Like, and I was like, yeah, I guess it kind of does. It's like, and I was like, how do you know what a hearse is? And he was just like, yeah, that was hard. And he just like didn't want to like talk about it. I was like, okay, no problem. I'm not going to make you talk about it more. And then my favorite was one of the kids said, it looks like the PT Loser. That's what they called it, the PT Loser car. It was like such a burn. My favorite though was the Pity Cruiser, the PT Cruiser, the Pity Cruiser. That was the best one for sure. But it is like such an interesting car. It's so tiny and it's so cute. And but it does suit me. I always feel good in it. And the reason why Pam bought it was because it looked like the taxis in Britain, and she always loved that. She actually had another PT Cruiser before this one, but then it was a convertible, and so she had to trade it in because she was having a kid, and she's like, I can't have a convertible and then have a child in the convertible. That's so dangerous, right? So, but yeah, so much love for them. I always felt like so welcomed into families, and like now I'm also working with 2 other families, and it just means so much to me that these families just like welcome me into their lives. And it's actually so random because if you found out the process of it, you'd be like, that's so sketchy. Like if people didn't actually know me and meet me, like, I don't understand how they even do this. So they go on a website. I'm on a website called Child Care Advantage. And I'm also on a website called CanadianNanny.ca. So that's like the least manly, I think that's the least manly name of all time. The CanadianNanny.ca, like, it's just so funny to me. But both families found me online, and then they looked at my profile, and then they like messaged me, and then like multiple times they didn't even ask me for like documentation of like police reference check clearing or like any of that. I was like, how do you, like, to me, if you're working in an actual business, they would ask for all these things. But for me, I just like send it. I'm like, you guys should know that I have all these things. And then they're always like, oh yeah, that's important. And like, they just didn't think of it. Right. So for me, I'm like, that's so sketchy, but also like, I guess it works. It made me not feel like I wasn't working in a daycare again, which I don't think I ever want to do. Like, caregiving is such a different experience. It's like you're welcomed into loving family and connection, and it just like, it really adds like a layer of goodness that I find that in daycares are more like, it feels like a factory. It's like a baby child care factory where you're just like, get as many human beings in there as possible, and then just collect the money. That's all they care about, right? And that's like not what it's about, like, for me. So sometimes people do ask me, they're like, why do you want to work with kids? Or like, what? I honestly think that I get just as much out of working with children that they get from me. Like, hanging out with kids, I have multiple elements. Like, when I'm talking to the parents, I can be more like who I am at this time, and like more, I would say, just more understanding of what an adult would want, and like the business side of it a lot of times, or but then like when I'm working with kids, I like am really, really great at like just having this way about being a kid too. I guess that's the best way to put it. Like, a lot of times I find that the children forget that I'm actually an adult. Like, that's the goal, is that like they start speaking to me like I'm another kid. They like connect to me like I'm another kid. What that does is that actually elevates their confidence around me. And that's what I want. I want to be able to build children's confidence so much that they end up being able to actually have direct conversations with adults, feeling like they're just like whole people. And what they do for me, so that's what I feel like I can do for them. And then what they do for me is they actually connect me to like my inner child. Like, when I'm outwardly being more childlike, my inner child like just shines. Like, I feel like I can just be such a happier person in that moment, where I'm not thinking about bills, not thinking about CERB coming for me. Like what's going to happen too? They're going to be like, you haven't paid back your payment by December 31st. They like break in, like all the tax evasion people come put you in cuffs. So like, I don't even know what's going to happen with that. Like, right. So that to me is something that I was like, what's going to happen? But yeah, I think that it's so important. Like, anybody out there who's feeling like, especially during these seasons and things, it's so important to connect to like your childlike self, like your inner child, like giving honor and like time to that. So one of the things that I guess this goes well into my philosophy and my theories connected with like your inner child. A lot of times I was seeing that my ego was getting out of place, and I was like being really, I have addictions that I've been working through and stuff. And so like a lot of the ego is like part of that, right? So I always kept like giving to my ego. And at one point I started like realizing, no, I don't want to do that anymore. So I started shunning my ego and like ignoring it. And it was kind of like putting it in the corner, as if I was like, when you're actually punishing a child and they're in timeout. That's what I was doing with my ego. I felt like that's what I was doing. And then what was happening was that I realized how connected the ego also is to your inner child. Like, to want to be seen, to want to be like acknowledged, want to be able to have your voice heard, right? And so what I was doing was I was actually putting my child's like self as well as my ego in the corner, and completely ignoring it and like not giving it any love. And then I would just walk by it, and anytime that it would reach out for me, I just kind of like ignore it and not listen to it. But what I realized that was happening was that I wasn't able to actually connect to that happy child self. I wasn't able to have as much fun because I was pushing away the things that I did enjoy, but I was doing excessively. So it was actually, instead of like ignoring it, what I was needing to do was actually having the conversation with my inner child, having that conversation with my ego, and like acknowledging that they both exist, that they're both important parts of myself, and being able to have that dialogue, but as the adult now, as myself, I have to be the one who has to make the right decisions, to be able to be like, I'm acknowledging that this is an important stage of my life and this is something that I'm needing to take in. And then the ego as well as the inner child are being seen and being acknowledged in that way. So I think that's really important. That's really one of the most powerful things I've learned recently too. And children give me that. So I really appreciate like the time that I get to spend with kids and like how much I learn from them. And yeah, it's one of the best parts of my weeks whenever I get to hang out with the kids. And I also have been teaching French. I think I mentioned this previously, and that's been such an interesting thing too, because it's pushing me to reconnect to French as well, like and such a wonderful language. And here's a funny thing that me and my sister used to do, because we speak English, Cantonese, and French. Whenever we would be around anyone, we would always have a language that like they didn't understand. So we could always talk shit about anyone while they're literally standing right there. This was like in our childhood, right? So it was so funny. Like if my mom was there, she doesn't understand French. So we'd speak in French and then we'd say things. Whenever our friends were around, they didn't speak Cantonese. So we would speak Cantonese, right? So it's like we had superpowers of communication and trash talking, which always was the best. I always loved, and I honestly believe that me and my sister like developed our gift of gab, or like our talking shit together. Like we used to just make fun of so much stuff, and we'd go on these huge rants or these huge stories just to like talk about these ridiculous things. That's like such a great part of my childhood, you know. And I was about 6 years older than her, so I was always trying to like introduce her into like random things or just like shit talking, but like I always loved being able to like have a story, and she was just so good at like making fun of the things that were inside of it and being like, and just like cold, like there was a coldness of like her burns that I just always thought was so interesting. Like, you know, like when it's so cold, like in like Ottawa cold, that's how some of her burns are like, you feel it like in that. And just a big shout out to her. Like, I feel like she should be doing roasts one day. That's what we should do. If we have a family roast, she would win against anyone. I would put my money on her for sure in that way. So she also told me she was my sister's gonna be here. And yesterday I showed off some items that I found of my popos. But what I noticed actually was some of them actually fit me. So I gotta put these on. This goes out to my wonderful sister out there. Check this out. Check this jacket out, guys. How dope is it? So I've been doing a segment every single day, basically going through my grandmother's old clothes. This thing is crazy. So this is number one. Check that out. Look, and the button goes like fancy across like this. Check this out. That's pretty impressive, right? You remember this one? Look at this. Look at the shoulder pads. Always the shoulder pads. That's so funny. And if you can't hear, that's my chair. That's like squeak. Listen to this chair. Like, this is my old school chair. Okay, so there's other ones too. Some of these are like very, I don't think some of them fit, but I think some of them do. Check this out. Oh my God. Okay. Look at this. Look at the flowers on this one, huh? This one's pretty sweet. Oh my God, that's so funny. Okay, that one's pretty sweet. Okay, let's see if there's any other ones in here. So if you're wondering, this is the bag. There's just like giant bags of clothing that we were gonna donate, and then I just like I just found it, and then I just go through and see if there's random clothing items that I like. So these are pants. I won't be able to fit in the pants. Check these ones. Check these ones here, right? So, and it's like so nice inside. What is this one called? It is polyester on the lining. Yeah, that's pretty sweet. Okay, let's see some other items. Yo, is this another jacket? Oh, it's another jacket, guys. Look at these patterns. Look at these patterns. These patterns. That was a pants. Those are pants. Okay, check out this wonderful pattern. Ooh. Okay, this one actually fits me. The sleeves are always a little bit short. The sleeves are a bit short, but check this out. This is pretty sweet. This looks pretty dope. I'm impressed. Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. I'll do one more. I'll do one last one. I don't usually put them on, but I feel like it's just more entertaining if I do. Okay, let's see what I got here. Oh my god, this one actually looks like a couch. This one looks like a couch here, guys. You guys ready for this? This one looks like it could be a couch. I don't know if I could even fit. Okay, yeah. Okay. Okay. Do you see this? Do you see this? Like, look at this. It looks like the flowers from like a couch. I feel like I want to wear this one for a bit. This one's pretty cool. But yeah, they're always too short. They're always like, the arms are always too short. That's what's happening. Because it's not made for a man's. Probably. Oh yeah. But these are all being donated. This was going to be donated, guys. So anybody out there, like I mentioned before, if you are wanting to pick up any of these ones, please let me know. Oh, I got a jacket. This is a jacket too. North Face, guys. North Face jacket. I don't even think it fits me. It's too small. But a North Face jacket, if you are slim, this is a medium women's North Face jacket. This is actually really nice. Damn, I wish I fit it. And it has a cool pattern too. I don't know if you could see it. It's got like a really nice like yeah, it's got like a nice like flower pattern there. Yeah, maybe she did. Maybe my mom might want that one, so that's possible. Yeah. So man, this is so crazy. Every day I've been doing this. Every single day, I always find so many gems inside of these bags. They're all gonna be donated. And actually, the other day, I found a pair, and it was like big on the butt, and I was just like, "Wow, this one's so huge!" And I was like, "I wonder why." Popo's other pants aren't like this, so I actually put them on, and they fit my like huge butt. And I was just like, "How did this fit my butt? This is like Popo doesn't have that stuff." And then I showed it to my mom, and I was like, "Mom, check this out." And then she was just like, "Oh, those are my old pants. Where'd you find them?" That like super proves that like she's the one who gave us this butt. Like that is a very clear thing. That's what I noticed. So shout out to my mom. Thank you for my butt. I've had like lots of people tell me. Actually, I made fun of it in when I was 17. They said that I walk like I have a pickle up my ass. This is when I was 17 years old. I went to college at 17. It was like the 5th or 6th day. Somebody was like, you walk like you have a pickle up your ass, and I was like, what the hell? And I was like, well, when you're in college, I guess, where's this pickle? Just kidding. But yeah, it was just like so crazy, just like having this like big butt. And then I was like, where did this come from? And then years later, like now I know, I'm learning this. At this time, I'm realizing it is from my mom. It is grateful to have this. I actually remember I had an ex who was like, "Oh, you're so lucky. You don't have to work out and you have such a good butt." And I was like, what the hell? But I guess it was like in the first boom of like all of the everybody wanting to have shapely bottoms, I guess. So yeah, so okay, so back to the slam from earlier today. It was so interesting being back in the slam. And I love that I have this platform that I could like share candidly of like what I actually experienced. So I didn't do slam well, I did slam 2017, I remember, because that's actually when I met one of my exes at the slam. I was selling buttons, and then I did like a erotic poem. Like I've never seen that ever at a slam, so I was like, oh, might as well do it. And then I obviously lost in the first round. I got like really low scores, but she was excited, like loved it. Like I remember looking over her, and she was like playing with her hair, like just like eye banging me, It's like I was like, this is so funny. And then yeah, so that I was like in 2017 around November 18th exactly. Okay, anyway, I remember. And then after that I did one slam after that. So it's been like 3 years. I did 2 slams in 3 years. And people always ask me, they're like, why did you stop doing slam? And tonight it reminded me of why I don't do a lot of slams, but it also reminded me of why I did do slams before. So it was such an interesting feeling tonight. When the slam was over, I was just like, wow, like this is very telling, but it also connects me back to like why it is that I'm doing what it is that I do, and the pursuits that I have now in art, and how important it is. Because the concept of putting numbers beside art is just crazy to me. It just like is so outside of what's so like the natural flow of what art is for, like the healing nature of art. it actually takes away from that healing nature, ending showmanship inside of something that is very healing. And for me, like, poetry has been, I would say, out of all the art forms that I've had, was the most directly healing. The one that when I'm struggling and when I'm going through, like even tonight, I'm probably going to write a poem called like, fuck you, Canadian government, for making me stressed about CERB. It's like, and then after, when I do get it back, I'll be like, I love you so much, CERB and the government, So it's like, it just, but like anytime that I'm experiencing something, going through something, I'm overwhelmed by something, like writing and poetry is just like, it feels like multiple times I've been like, yo, it's like saved me. It saved me, And so seeing like numbers beside them and like it being judged in that way, it was like really challenging, I would say. But at the same time, like, that's part of the beauty of it. It was great for a lot of people, really enjoyed it. And I also got to see like poets that I haven't seen in a really long time. I got to catch up with some of them, and just being able to see them like continue to perform and just being such incredible artists. At the same time, like, I find there's a certain limitations of what it is that you can share. Like, even just some of the artists, I was like, man, like, we're put into a box pretty much, and we have a specific amount of time. There isn't this like flow of show and like the vibes of like what it is that I love so much about performance art, So for me, it's like I see the value of it, but I also see like why it's not like as valuable for myself. And I don't know when the next time I'm gonna slam is. But also it's because maybe it's because I lost. Imagine that. Like, it crossed my mind. I'm like, am I like not super hyped about it because I didn't win? Like, if I won it, would I be like, oh my God? Like, but in the end, no, I honestly believe like the core values of it, I just think are different than what it is that I'm striving for when I'm creating shows. Like, that it's not that it wasn't very welcoming and that wasn't very loving, but that concept of putting numbers beside it, I think it's just was and still is one of the biggest things that made me disconnect from it and see it. And also like the content that's being shared, it's like it's so I would say like trauma based, and yeah, so that's like really hard sometimes to take on like that many amount of poems of that same nature, right? So but that's like part of it. It's like, it's such an interesting thing. I have like this love-hate relationship with it, and but I love it. That like, and I'm also love that a lot of people are a part of it. At the same time, like, I could just see it's not really for me, Oh, it's like polyamory. Oh, that's perfect. That's a great comparison. It's like I could see the value of it. It just doesn't. It's not me, Like, I could just tell that it's like not what I'm like good in, Like, I can feel the fulfillment is not there for me. Yeah, it's like other people really get a lot of value of it, but it just doesn't work for me in that way. So that's part of it. So talking about the slam though, I wonder if, I feel like I'm gonna share the poems that I have been, but before I do that, I'm gonna do, like I've been doing this recently. I've been doing the random poems. I feel like because I've prepped those other ones so much, I think I need to do a random poem right now. I feel like it's gonna tell me or share some really important knowledge for me. So let's see where I'm at. Let's go with what day? Let's go with day 10, National Poetry Month. Let's see what it has to say. Okay. This one's called Routine Pristine. I wonder if I've shared that recently, but I feel like this is the one for some reason. All right, Routine Pristine. So many devices, these vices grab hold. My peaceful mindset challenged, triggered, setting off explosive thought bombs. Oh, how we wander when we have the house to ourself, by myself. Blue hue, mental health. I seek emotional intelligence on fleek, flow, fragrance, beautifying the aroma, scented brainstorm, experiencing corona, the garbage starting to pile up. Everything needs a good wipe. Flavor of this gum starting to run out. Tidying can only go so far. Need to deep clean. Pristine steam dream. Enter my queen, I believe. Patience, practice, purity. Central core capable, grateful, generous galleons. Idealistic views destroyed me. Need to realistically recenter. Scale solves balance issues. Valiant, violence, variable, situational, case by case, truth in inner peace, challenges of uncertainty, still haunting me, breaking free, free finding, fresh fragrance, lighting incense sensitively, listening to my needs. I must continue to feed inner child, let loose, go wild, fulfilling true needs, not greed, clotting when I bleed, this natural human condition, connecting vital progression. The answers are in the silence. Yo, I was just talking about inner child, and then it is in this poem. Guys, I'm telling you, there's some magic to this National Poetry Month that, like, I talk about it all the time, but it sets me up for the rest of the year. My present me is so grateful for April me, you know, like the work that I put in there, I am benefiting infinitely from that right now. So big shout out to that. Anybody out there, sometimes you're doing work and you're like, I have no idea why the hell this is going on, and I'm doing all this work and it's going nowhere. It's like, maybe it's for something like this. And that's the healing that I needed right now, you know, like the balancing again, like everything is being like wiped a little bit just like for the show of it, but like I need to like get behind the cracks of like the cleaning and the healing that I'm needing. You know, there's just been so much stress and intensity and like feeling overwhelmed for the last like couple weeks, you know, and just being able to like recenter, you know, find the roots and like really dig those in and just like connect to like something just stronger, you know. So that to me is really important and very valuable. And yeah, so this poem was just like so on point and like so nice for that. Just being able to feel that way though, to also just be grateful for like the work that I've done. That's what it's about, right? And honestly, I did feel like that after the slam tonight. I did feel like that. I worked for the last couple of days on the slam, and I didn't feel super stressed about it or anything like that. I just really enjoyed my time of like the hustle a little bit, you know? So, oh, also, happy birthday to my bro. I 100% know that he's not watching this, but it is a big shout out to him. He is it is December 6th right now. He is 38 years old and he's about to have a son. That is so hype. I'm so excited for him. I wonder what he's going to name the kid. I wonder if it's going to be like John Jr. It's definitely not going to be Anto Jr., which I tried to ask him if he could do, but but it's going to be so amazing seeing him as a father. You know, he always was someone I looked up to growing up and stuff like that. So just a big shout out to him. Happy birthday. We're actually going to go visit him tomorrow and bring him a bunch of stuff from Costco. My mom actually went to Costco today. She was there from 8 a.m. She left here until like past noon. So she was there for like so many, just imagine how much stuff we bought. Like it was literally a huge order. Like that's so crazy. Imagine imagine a family member names their kid after another family member of that. That just is crazy. He would never do that. But yeah, my mom comes back and just has so much stuff from Costco. I'm definitely pigging out after this this live stream for sure. I have one of my favorite things to get there. If anybody's ever had these, they're like pop chips. They're called popcorners or something. They're like red bag. Love it. Maggie, my sister Maggie said Janthony. That's so terrible. My God, I'm gonna it like felt like I was pulling out like some type of like insect from my throat. Janthony. It's so bad. But yeah, a crazy story too. My sister Maggie, she actually was named after Maggie from The Simpsons. Like, so good. That's how you know that she was by accident. That my parents were like, oh yeah, you guys could name her, no problem. I love you. Oh, that's so funny. I love it when you guys check out the actual live so I could interact with you guys. It makes me so happy. Yeah. Oh, man. And then it would be so interesting. My brother should name the kid Bart, and then and I'll promise to be like, okay, if I have one, I'll name my kid Lisa one day. Like whenever I have a kid, and then we could all have Simpsons, or I can name my kid Apu Nahasapima Pedalon. Like, do you remember how awesome that was? Every Sunday we would watch Simpsons in our kitchen while we had dinner, and we had like later dinners and stuff like that. And then we were watching, we'd be so excited, we laugh so hard, especially at like super like roasty, hilarious stuff. And then my mom never liked The Simpsons, and that's why I always thought it was so trippy. So I was like a 6-year-old kid, and then my sister, like we loved The Simpsons even from a young age, and then my mom did not like The Simpsons, and then she still was like fine with us naming Maggie after The Simpsons, which was so interesting, right? So, and my Maggie says, "No, you get Millhouse." So I have to name a kid Millhouse. So that's like that. I honestly don't even know where some of these names come from. Like, have you ever heard of anything close to Millhouse? Like, how could that even be a name? Like, it's not even a real name at all, right? So, but I mean, that's what you could do with your characters when you make them yourselves. That's part of the fun, I guess. So. All right, so I wanted to also make sure that I got all of the things that I said this week that I have been doing. So I actually wanted to tell the story of Hillside. So the first the vlog that I did at the beginning, I said I was going to tell the Hillside story, and then I never did. And then for 4 days, I've just ignored that and pretended that wasn't real. Kind of like my washroom and how I need to deep clean it, like I was saying earlier. And I've just been avoiding it. I've just been like, nope, that doesn't exist. Every time I'm going to the washroom, I'm like, all right, I'm going to put the seat down so it doesn't look as dirty as it actually is. So, but the Hillside, I'm getting to it right now. So for me, Hillside was such like a random serendipitous event, and serendipity is like a huge part of like my life. So the idea of serendipity, if anybody out there doesn't know like the definition of serendipity, if you hear me talk a lot and you connect to me, you will know what serendipity is after a while, because I talk about it all the time. It is one of the most important words of everything that I talk about. It connects me to the idea of randomness, as well as like just complete truth of like the path that you're supposed to be on, right? So for me, that's like one of the most important things is to be able to actually, I want to actually look it up so that I can have the perfect wording for you guys. So let's just see. And okay, this is the best. It's dictionary.com has the best one for sure. It says serendipity, an aptitude for making desirable discoveries by accident, good fortune, luck. That's like so good, right? That's exactly what it's all about. I've told this a million times, but I still want to make sure that I get that. So from now on, I'm going to remember that the aptitude for making desirable discoveries by accident. So that to me is so powerful. Like the idea of being able to set yourself up enough that you're in a situation that there's an accidental aspect of it, and you're being blessed at that time to a certain extent. So the way that I ended up at Hillside was so like this. That summer, it was the summer of 2017, I believe. No, 2018 or 17. Let me think about this. 2018, the summer of 2018, and I had gone through a breakup the year before that, and I was still working in the buttoning, which I actually shared with my ex. And Jen was like the one who founded it, and then I started doing a lot of the buttoning stuff. And then when we ended up breaking up, like I continued doing that stuff, and like she's still a very great friend of mine, like as well now. But I just continued doing it because I was so frustrated, I think, of like after we broke up, that I was just slamming a lot of buttons, you know. I was like so like getting all my frustrations out. So I was doing all these events, and then I ended up meeting someone at an event, and she was like, "Hey, your stuff is really great. Is it cool if I sell buttons in my booth as well?" Like the booth was right beside me, right? Her name was Kat. And I was like, yeah, no problem. And then that day, I told her about how like my favorite is like hilarious buttons. And she's like, I got a hilarious button. And she showed me one with someone with a mustache. And I was like, yo, I got like multiple mustache books, like books with people full on from 80s and 90s. A lot of Playboys that had like mustache people in it. So it was so crazy. I made like 30 buttons of just people, like men with mustaches. Like, and it was just like the very just pure only mustaches at that point, right? Like it would put all of the Movember people like to shame. Like these mustaches, like I would actually look at some of these guys' faces and I wouldn't see eyes. There was no eyebrows. There's no nose. There was no mouth. It was just one streak of mustache and like a floating head. That's like actually what their faces looked like. I couldn't even tell you what the rest of their face looked like because you would only remember them by the mustaches, you know? So anyways, we bonded this way. We connected. She's like, hey, I'm actually doing a festival. Did you want to come along? And that festival was called Hillside. And it was such a special event. And I still remember being at the festival, and I ended up meeting up or connecting with a lot. There was poets that were there. There was also people who were I knew from the partner I had at that time. They had ran like a booth and stuff, and they were giving out food, and like they helped me out every single day. Big shout outs. You know, it was so amazing to be a part of that. Right? Like just being like if anybody's ever been to one of these festivals, I miss them so much. I was in the middle of the entire festival where we're selling everything. And then our booth was right at the front. And then I was actually set up my button stuff. So I had a button table, and then it was just the button makers. And then people would come in and I had all my books, and it was just like hundreds of people. Like every single day was just hundreds and hundreds of people. I didn't even charge people for the buttons. I just had a jar that said like, pay what you want. And people were just shoving 5s and 20s. And like during that time, I actually, during the 3 days that I was there, I ended up making $1,500, like just from tips. It was all pay what you can, right? It was so crazy. I was like, what? That was amazing. And then so every single day, it was just like slam buttons. The first day I got there, 4 p.m. until 10 p.m., I slamming buttons. That night, the Powwow Cafe, who I was talking about earlier, they ended up giving out hot dogs all night and stuff. And I was giving out buttons, and like I was doing something called like spirit buttons, kind of like how people pick like tarot cards and stuff like that. But I was doing it with buttons. So they would pick the button, and I was like, did you want to know what I think that might mean? And then I would look at it and I would just make something up of like that moment of what I was feeling just for fun, right? And a lot of times people would look at me like I was like a mystic of sorts, and it was so fun. I was like, yo, we are definitely all smoking a lot of weed at this event. That's what was happening, right? So much fun. And then so I was pressing all these buttons, and then it was just so like I was talking about kids earlier. I had these boys that kept coming up to the booth, and they just enjoyed the buttoning so much, right? Every single day, all 3 days, they came at least 3 or 4 times, and every time they would go somewhere else, they would run back to there, and their parents were like, "Hey, where are you going?" And like they'd be chasing after them, and they'd always end up just back at my booth. So the 2 boys ended up on the Sunday. They kept coming back so many times. The moms was like, "Is it okay if I just like go and do a loop of selling stuff, and you could just like hang out with them?" So I was like, "Yeah, of course." And then what I did was I ended up getting them to work at the booth, and they were so excited. They were like, "What? I get to go on your side of the booth? What? That's amazing. Thank you so much." And then so they came back there, and then I needed a break. I went from like 9 a.m. until like, it was probably like 8 p.m. or something like that. So I was like, I need 15 minutes. So I was like, "Are you guys cool in there?" So there's just 2 like 11-year-old boys just pressing buttons and like helping everybody with their buttons. The best thing was what they said. They said, "Hey, what do you got over there?" So they were talking like me. That's why this is what I was saying. He's like, you want a hand?" And I was like, they're just using things that I was saying, right? But then one of the best things was like, "You bring it over here. I got your back." Like, and it was clearly that they've never heard that term before. But like, I would say that to people. I was like, "Yo, I got your back. No problem. I got your back." So like hearing like this kid like talk about and just helping other people, I was like, wow, that's like so magical, right? But that whole weekend, it was as if I just fell into this situation. I was in front of all of these people, helping them make buttons that represented them, things that they loved from the books that I had found over the years. And I just somehow was making buttons with them. And it was so special, such a powerful experience. And like, it helped me like understand that like Jen's giving to my life was not just in our relationship. It was also in my art. It was also in my creation. It was also in my bridging people to their art. A lot of the people who were actually experiencing this, they were the ones, they've never, most of the people that were there, like, I haven't thought about like making something that I like for many years, and like that kind of like mindset of like art, right? So for me, it was like, I get to be this bridge, right? And not only the bridge, I get to be the troll under the bridge. I get to be the one being like, "Are you sure you want that one? Is this what you're looking for?" Is it, like asking them all these questions to get them to connect to the artistic side, and that meant everything to me, right? So like I mentioned, it was just a lot of work, right? Like 4 to 10, then it was like 9 a.m. to like 10 p.m. the next day, then 9 a.m. to 10 p.m. the last day. And like Kat was so helpful. She like let me crash in, like they had this trailer and stuff like that. And it was amazing. We like hung out and partied. And the last day I was standing there and I was like finally taking it all in that this was ending. This like magical weekend of Hillside was finally ending. And I was like getting really like emotional. And as I was standing there in my booth by myself, the booth that was right beside me, they were jewelry makers, and they came over, and the whole team of them, it was as if they had like a business, they had like a meeting, and they're like, we got to go do this for this guy. So they come over to me and they're like, yeah, we saw all the joy that you were bringing to everybody, so we made you this. And it was actually a necklace. I'll show you guys tomorrow, but it was a necklace that said "Be Awesome" on it. And when they gave that to me, it was as if everything that had happened had led me to that exact moment to celebrate my connection with art. Like I was just so grateful to just be receiving this, like this trinket, I guess, of like, hey, like you're on the right path, you're doing great. Like all these people around you are seeing how much joy that you're bringing to them. And that meant everything to me, you know? And as I'm standing there, I'm just like fucking crying. I'm like literally just standing there like, you guys mean so much to me. Thank you so much. Like, I'm so appreciative of it. And like just crying and crying. And then they go off in their booth and they're like, yo, see you later. We're packing up, you know, thank you for everything. And I'm like, yo, anytime you guys want to have buttons and stuff, like, let me know. I just love this connection. It's great. As I'm standing there crying, my friend Kat, who had brought me there, she runs over. She's wearing a random cowboy hat at this point. She's just like partying. She's been having a couple drinks, just loving life. And then she says to me, hey, what's going on? Are you okay? And like, she's a mother, right? Like she has 2 kids. So like the way she said it was like the most perfectly motherly way that like only a mother could say, you know. She's just like, are you okay? Like, can I be here for you? Did you need some love? You know? And then I was just like, I'm just really emotional right now for everything that's happening. And then she like, it was so motherly up to that point. When I say this, she bursts out laughing. And I was surprised by that. And I was like, whoa, excuse you. Like, that's like super rude. And she's like, she like takes off her cowboy hat, and then the light hits her eyes, and she was already crying. I didn't see that. She was already crying, and she's like, I've been crying all day. This is so magical. And then she grabs my hand and she pulls me into like the main pit dance area. Oh, I miss these times when you could like connect with other people. And then the headliners of the entire festival were on stage at this point, A Tribe Called Red, and it was just like this huge party, and like I was just dancing it up. Like I just like was able to let go of like all of that like stress, all those emotions, everything at that moment. And it was just so special, right? And then I finally went back to my booth, and then while I was on my way back to the booth, I was like, what the hell? Why is there people there? And people started gathering at the booth before I even got back to the booth there, and they all wanted to still make some buttons before the festival ended. All these people that we know, people who like didn't bring like cash with them and stuff, they came back just to put buttons in there. Money in there for the buttons. Quarters and dimes and 5s and 20s and 10s, like just so much cash in this like overflowing like jar that I have, you know. And then the night ended, and I was like, wow, what like a special night. Like, you know, it was probably like around 11 midnight or whatever. And I was like, yo, finally the time has come. My shower, I committed to not showering for the entire weekend so I could like, you know, be in the stink of the festival, you know. And so it was the last day at midnight, and I was like, yo, it's time. So I ended up, my friend Kat had this bicycle that I actually went and picked it up a couple weeks ago. This special bicycle that just like, it's like a low rider, type 1, very chill, and you just gotta like hang out, and like, you know, people would see you in it and they just like wave, and you could like take the long wave, and it just like, you just feel like so good in it, you know. And then I had like little lights on it and stuff too, just very chill. It was like so nice. And then I was going by like a whole area where it was all the volunteers. And then all the volunteers were like, hey, are you going up to shower right now? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, oh, there's nobody in there. So if you feel safe, just like, if not, you could holler, no problem. Make sure you bring a quarter with you. A lot of people forget. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, it's a paid it's a paid thing. You have to pay a quarter. It's like old school showers, you know? And I was just like, what? Like, I don't have any quarters on me. And I'm like, immediately think about this jar that I had. I had over like 1,000 quarters. Like there's no, like I had the entire giant bag of like quarters that I like accumulated. I didn't have one on me at the time. And then, but my instincts just said like, yo, just go to the showers. Like maybe there might be somebody there. You could ask them for something, whatever. So I was just like, whatever. So I biked all the way up the hill because I was already so close. I was like, I got to keep going on this hill, right? Like I can't just turn back. Like that's like giving up. So I went all the way to the hill, up the hill. I finally get to the top. I go into this room. I put all of my like stuff down to the side. I go and I'm like, this is the first booth that I went in. And I look in and I'm like, I see a quarter inside of it. I was like, what? There's an actual quarter in here. So I like started like shaking the machine. It wouldn't do it. And then all that stuff. And I was just like, oh my God, like it's so close. And I started like punching it because I was like, I think that if the force is hard enough, then when I punch it, it's going to fall in, and it wouldn't. And then at that moment, it hit me, guys. The button. What? So I took off one of my buttons and I opened it and then I pushed it in. And right when I pushed it in, the shower just started hitting me. Like the water was just like, it was like purifying of like the entire weekend away. And it was just like, oh my God, I felt so amazing. And it was just like a hot shower. And like, I like just, it was so special. Like it was such an amazing thing. And I realized I actually wasn't around 11 or 12. It was actually more closer to like 4 or 5 in the morning because we partied all night and like hung out and all that kind of stuff. And this is why it's important is when I left there, I had all my stuff. I put it all in this backpack I had. And then I started riding it down like this hill. And as I was riding down like the hill, like on this bicycle, I look up and the fucking sun was just coming up at the same time. And I was like, yo, my life is magic at these times, you know, like, and when you're giving so much to art and when you're giving so much to like bringing joy to people's lives, like you get rewarded abundantly. You get given so many blessings in that way. And that's why serendipity to me is like the most important thing for me. It's like I'm setting myself up to give in this way so that I'm receiving these amazing things and these reflections like keep happening. And that's what's so exciting about it. So for me, I ended up going back to like where I was going to crash, and I slept, and I just like slept so well after that, knowing that I didn't have to wake up to work in the button booth again. And then I headed back in to town after that. So huge shout out to Kat, huge shout out to Jen, huge shout out to the deer. I forgot the name of it exactly, but something deer jewelry people who gave me that, made me cry at that time. But that story is one of the most important ones I would say in my life in terms of like being able to just be given so many blessings at that time, you know? So yeah, okay, I've gone a lot over my time enough. So huge thank you to everybody who came out and paid attention tonight. It means a lot to me. Maggie and Annie, always loving all the support from you guys. So many great like moments that we've already had before, but I just want to keep like spending time with you guys. And I want to go back down to the Dominican and visit Maggie as well as Marbelle and Maddie. Oh, I miss my niece Maddie so much. You're getting so big now. You're so tall and you're almost walking. And whenever we're on the phone now, I just literally go, ah! Like just saying the noises that she makes so that we just do it back. And I guarantee you, Maggie is like, ah! Like there's 2 of these people now. So I can't wait to go back to the Dominican, you know, and yeah, so huge shout out to all the people who've been paying attention all these last couple days. And yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, 11:30. And hopefully all this CERB stuff comes back and it just like, you know, makes it all works out because I feel like I would love that. You know, I would not only love that, but I also feel like it would just be it would just be so terrible if that happened, I guess. And so I'm just really like putting my energy. I'm going to use all my 11/11 wishes on CERB following through. So thank you guys so much. Absolutely love you guys so much for paying attention. I'll see you guys soon. Bye. See you tomorrow.